Hello and welcome back to another episode of Becoming a Unity3D Badass with Double Byte Gaming. I'm Michael Conaway and I'll be your host. Today we're going to depart from Unity for just a minute so I can teach you a skill using Photoshop for those of you that have Photoshop, or maybe you're thinking about getting into using Photoshop alongside Unity3D as a method of editing textures and images that you need to use in your game. And there's one thing that I wanted to show you real briefly that's pretty valuable. Tiling textures is something that pretty much every game developer is going to need and probably need a lot of, and there's nothing worse than not knowing how to create your own tiling textures. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to open a texture here, one that we want to utilize to create a tiling texture from. And the first thing we're going to do, because this, generally speaking, I mean, I don't use non-square tiling textures, but I mean, I guess you could. But let's go ahead, I want to do that. First thing we're doing is come up here and grab this crop tool, since it's not square, and I'm going to hold down Shift, which is going to force a square selection area. We're just going to drag that out until it's square, as big as it can be. And we're going to let go of the mouse button there. And then we're going to hit Enter to confirm that cropping effect on the image. And then now that we've done that, we want to make this so it will tile so that it repeats nicely. Now in Photoshop, if you go to Filters, Other, and then Offset, you're actually going to be able to basically see the tiling of these in Photoshop. What is it going to look like if I apply this as a tiled thing in Unity3D? And so right now you can see this is not going to tile very nicely at all. We're going to go ahead and hit OK. Now once we've offset like that, that is also going to allow us to edit this and make it into a perfectly tiling texture. Now the way we're going to do that is we're going to come to this tool here. You can hold down the button over all the different tools and you get more tools for that version. And we're going to pick the healing brush tool. And I'm going to make this pretty big because the first thing I want to do is just generally spread a specific texture out that I like over a larger area. And just kind of even things out. And I'm going to actually go ahead and, yeah, I'm just going to start with that. So I'm just going to start painting this out a little bit more. Uh-oh. Healing brush is having an issue with the size of this texture, I think. What I'm going to do is just cancel that. And I'm going to go up here and go to the image size. This is not my texture, by the way. I just borrowed this from Google, did a quick search. I'm just going to make this thing, let's go ahead and make it 1024 by 1024. Zoom back in a little bit. Alright, so we're going to reduce the size of that brush. We're going to come up here. Holding down Alt and clicking lets you take your sample. This is where you're going to copy from with this tool. So I'm going to click up here. I'm just going to paint some of that out. I'm really not liking how the healing tool does its job. Let's do the... Yeah, no thanks. That's not working real well. There's another way to do this, which is actually the clone stamp tool, which has some other options. For now, we'll just leave it on full blast, full tilt. This might not be the best source material to use, but you can just come in, you can just start, you can take samples from one place and paint them right on in another. And like I said, this is not necessarily the best example of making a tiling texture because generally speaking, having big variations in the tone of the texture is going to result in kind of a bad tile off the texture. It's going to be a very noticeable tile is the problem. So you have to be careful around the edges. We'll see if I've destroyed my efforts here. This isn't going to be the best example of doing one of these either. I'm not really great at this, but alright, so let's just get something out there that kinda works. And then let's go ahead and let's go offset this thing again. We're going to filter, offset, get the offset, and then we're gonna move it around. See how bad, okay, we can kinda see right there's another spot right here that it's not really well done yet. We're gonna kind of position that towards the center. We're gonna go and do it again. Bring this in. Get some of that on. Make sure we're spraying it out. You know, get a kind of a uniform look to it. That's one of the important things about tiling textures. And that's probably getting pretty good. Now the point where when you get to the point where you are running this offset filter and you're going, you know, that's looking pretty good generally speaking. This is not the best effort ever. I'm not really taking a huge amount of time here. I still don't like this spot, so I'm going to go back in one more time. Just boop and boop there. And we got a texture that probably tiles pretty well. So if we sit here and we just drag it along, we don't see any hard seam lines anywhere. We do see some things that are probably going to stand out pretty hard, like this here is going to, you're going to see it repeat over and over very noticeably. But what you do see is that we don't see the edges, there's no noticeable seams anywhere. So we have successfully created a texture that, while it may not be the greatest, might not be the greatest looking once you actually tile it over something, it is going to work for that purpose. So there you go. You now know how to go into Photoshop, grab us some source material, use a few tools, primarily the what's that thing called? I think it's clone stamp tool. Yep, use that, or the healing brush, depending on whatever's working best for you at the time, and that's going to let you go in there and actually clean up a texture and make it into something that you can use to tile. So thank you very much for tuning in. Again, I'm Michael Conaway with Double Byte Gaming. Look forward to seeing you guys again real soon. Like and subscribe, and we will continue pumping out content for you. Thank you very much.